Hello, everybody, and welcome to Week 6 Power Rankings. Another fun week of the NFL has come and passed. Time to rank the top 10 teams. Before we jump right into it, I want to quickly say subscribe if you're new. Greatly appreciate it. Leave a like while you're at it as well, and comment down below your Power Rankings. Kick things off with the honorable mentions. That's going to be the Seattle Seahawks, who have a very tough game against the Giants this past week. A blocked kick late in that one sealed the deal, and really just didn't feel like Seattle played their best game. Wanted to see a bit more out of them. It was against a Giants team, which should have been a pretty reasonable, winnable game for them. Considering how they started the season. They go on a 2-game losing streak now. Going to be interesting to see when they bounce back. The Bears are another honorable mention, in part because that was a fantastic game they played, but it was against the Carolina Panthers. I want to see it against a better opponent. The Broncos are another honorable mention, similar case, a fantastic game, but against the Las Vegas Raiders. Want to see Bo Nix play to that level against tougher competition. The final honorable mention is the Detroit Lions, purely because they were on a bye this week, and it just didn't feel right putting them within the top 10 when they had a bye. So they'll be back next week into the top 10 most likely. Number 10 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Back to back really tough losses to quality teams in the Colts, and this week the Cowboys. Coming off of a 90-minute weather delay, they played a tough one. The defense looked great. 2 interceptions on Dak Prescott, and they gave the offense enough chances in this one. Just the offense couldn't do enough, only putting up 17, and eventually the defense faltered late, giving up the last second touchdown to Dallas. Really, the Steelers are here not because like they've won games recently or anything, but because they've played back-to-back really close games late. Against the Colts, they came back in that one and made the fourth quarter interesting. And against the Cowboys this week, they played a pretty solid game and made it a close game with within the final minute to play. I do still like what I'm seeing from the Steelers for the most part, but just need a full 60 out of them. They've been playing very good football though, the majority of this season. Last week, again, a tough loss late, but they still kept it close, still played well, and the defense is still looking fantastic. So they come in at number 10. Number 9 is the Dallas Cowboys. For much the same reason that the Steelers were at 10, they've played back-to-back really tight games, really close games, but the difference is they were managed to pull away with wins in those games. The last second touchdown in this one by Dak Prescott to and win the game. A solid play design. Again, the Cowboys offense is looking lackluster a bit this season, but that defense is playing really well. The ground game could be a little bit better for the Cowboys, but for the most part, again, they're doing the job in offense. They're getting enough points to win. That defense playing phenomenal, playing to a high level in order to give the offense those chances. And the strength of opponents hasn't been the greatest the past 2 weeks with the Giants and now a Steelers offense that isn't the greatest. But they're still finding ways to win, even with them being close games. Just again, you want to see the offense do a bit more and put up more points, considering how much money they invested into it in the offseason with the Dak extension and the CD Lamb stuff. But nonetheless, the Cowboys are going to come in at number 9. Number 8 is the Baltimore Ravens, riding a 3-game win streak after a fantastic offensive performance against the Cincinnati Bengals. The reason they're not higher despite putting up 41 and winning in overtime, their defense has just been inconsistent this season. You go from dominating the Bills on Sunday Night Football, only giving up 10, to then getting dotted by Joe Burrow and the Bengals, who gave up and giving up 38. You want to see the defense be a bit more consistent, but as long as Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are playing as well as they have been this season so far, you're going to be fine. They're going to be making plays. I mean, Lamar Jackson made play after play today. Derrick Henry had that big run in the overtime after the Cincy missed field goal. And hey, despite all the miscues that Baltimore has been facing this season, they're finding ways to win in these last 3 weeks. It's been a lot of fun. Lamar Jackson is a fun player to watch. I think they'll eventually get the defense sorted. It's just taking time with a new coaching staff. But until they do get it sorted, they're going to come in at number 8. Number 7 is the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love finally got his first win in a start this season against the Los Angeles Rams. A game where he also threw his first career pick 6 in what was a terrible play, trying to do too much on that one, trying to avoid the safety. But, again, They get the win nonetheless. Xavier McKinney has been an underrated offseason signing, having 5 interceptions through 5 weeks of the season. He is doing phenomenal work on that defensive side, really helping that secondary. That was a big issue last year, and now making it a strength this year. And Matt LaFleur doing a great job coaching that team. They got the 2 wins with Malik Willis. Now that Jordan Love is back and he is healthy again and he has found his rhythm, I expect the Packers to be able to take this a lot further with an offense that is playing well, passing the ball well, running the ball well. I like what I'm seeing. Definitely going to be keeping an eye on the Packers going forward. They come in at number 7 for this week. Number 6 is the Atlanta Falcons. And I know Kirk Cousins had a fantastic game, 509 passing yards, an overtime win against the Buccaneers at home, wearing those clean-looking throwbacks on that throwback field. The defense, though, was non-existent for as good as a game that the Falcons offense had. The defense allowed the Tampa offense to have a very similar game. They did make a few plays late with the forced fumble and the making the stops on Tampa, but you need to play a better game for the defensive side, especially when the offense is just flinging the ball down the field, putting up historic numbers on offense. Again, Kirk Cousins, a new franchise record on the same night that Matt Ryan gets inducted with 500 plus passing yards. Just an incredible day. Primetime Kirk has a different meaning now with Atlanta. He's playing fantastic. Need to see more out of that defense. And Atlanta, man, I knew it was going to take a few weeks. It's taken about 5 weeks for the Falcons to build that chemistry and get things going on offense. Now that they have, they're going to be a threat for the rest of the NFC. They come in at number 6. Number 5 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I know they just lost to Atlanta, who I have at 6. Let me quickly run through this. Despite the loss, I do still feel like Tampa played the better game. For maybe not necessarily defensively wise, but definitely when it comes to a completeness of the offense and special teams. I know Kirk Cousins had the whole 500 plus passing yards. He had a good day. But Baker himself also had an incredible day with a ground game that I felt like was more effective than what the Falcons were throwing out there. And then in special teams, they blocked a kick. They had after that blocked kick, the game should have been over. But they fumbled late. And then when they got the ball back the next time, they got bullshitted out of offset and penalties with a missed face mask call. I do feel like Tampa played the more complete game, but sometimes the bounce of the ball does not go your way. That was the case in this one. I do still feel like Tampa is a top end team in the NFC, and the next time these two teams play each other, it should be one for the ages once again. But yeah, I do have Tampa one spot ahead of Atlanta at number 5. Number 4 is the Houston Texans, and that was a close one against Buffalo. The defense played a lot better looking than they did in previous weeks, holding the Bills to 20. And the offense is still trying to find a bit of a groove, but the ground game just isn't necessarily all there yet. I believe Joe Mixon missed another week, and that could be a big factor as to why Joe Mixon is an underrated back in this league. So him not playing, definitely going to hinder that ground game quite a bit. CJ Stroud still looked pretty well. They still look solid. And again, the defense played well. These special teams. Really just look at that final 2 minutes of that game, and that was perfect football on all three phases. The defense making a big stop late with the Bills backed up in their own territory, in part because the Bills' play calling was terrible there, but you take advantage when you can. The special teams had a nice return to pretty much set up field goal range already. And then CJ Stroud just takes a dump off, get a few extra yards, and then the field goal unit comes out and drills one from 59. A beautiful sequence to really show complementary football. The Texans starting to find a rhythm again, starting to find their groove, played fantastically against the Bills in all things considered. So they come in at number 4. Number 3 is the Washington Commanders. And man, oh man, Jaden Daniels, not as great of a performance as previous weeks, but still a good performance. And he played well, ran the ball well himself, was efficient with passing wise. And overall, just a great game. He didn't even finish the game as they were up so big. He got benched to make sure he didn't get at risk of injury and all that. They played well. Washington is playing a really good style of football right now. Going to be a very fun week 6 for them as they play Baltimore. And the defense. Yes, I know it was against Cleveland and Deshaun Watson, who at this point seems to be a very easy team to beat defensively, but they still looked really good, still took advantage of it because you can play against a somewhat easier opponent, but then just don't take them seriously, and thus the trap game happens. Washington didn't fall for it. They played their style. They played to win. Got a very nice win. Dominated over the Cleveland Browns. They're looking like one of the best teams in the NFL. And really, the only reason they're not higher is because there's still two undefeated teams left. They come in at number 3. Speaking of those undefeated teams, number 2 is the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that has been very defensive led and defensive focused this season, as the offense is starting to find a rhythm a bit, but still not fully there. Travis Kelce was a massive factor in this one, having his greatest game production wise this season. Definitely becoming the number 1 option again due to all of the injuries that the Chiefs have suffered offensively. But the defense still playing incredibly well, making plays when it matters, getting big time stops. That interception on the first drive of the game by Brian Cook was beautiful looking, great one-handed snag, completely changed the momentum of the game instantaneously. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're not playing solid football, but they are winning games handedly still. They're looking good. They're playing good. Defensively, the offense is starting to find its footing again. They're going to be a threat once they do find their footing on offense, as Patrick Mahomes, man, he had a 70-ish yard pass that was called DPI. Playing really well. He can sling it. Good pocket presence. The Chiefs are at number 2. And number 1, the other undefeated team left in this season, the Minnesota Vikings. They played such a good game that they got Robert Saleh fired. And you can look at the stat sheet for Sam Darnold, and it says under 200 passing yards, maybe not the greatest of games on paper. But you watch that and you add in all the yards from DPIs and defensive hold-ins and all that. He had over a 300-yard day. He played well, was doing a good job against that Jets defense. Aaron Jones left the game early in that one and caused the ground game to kind of stutter a bit, but eventually it got back going. And that defense is still playing incredibly for the Vikings. Andrew Van Ginkel had another pick six on the season in this one. Man, I'm really jealous Miami let him walk, but that's for a story. That's a story for another day. Minnesota playing way above expectations, beating teams and playing a style that I did not expect out of them, especially with Sam Darnold behind center. He has proven me so wrong this season. And yeah, they are coming in for another week at number 1. All right, there you have it. Quick little recap. Steelers at 10, Cowboys at 9, Ravens at 8, Packers at 7, Falcons at 6, Buccaneers at 5, Texans at 4, Commanders at 3, Chiefs at 2, and the Minnesota Vikings rounded up at number 1. Thank you all for tuning in. Have yourselves a damn good one. I'll see you all next time. Peace.